Now, now stand up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome him, Ari Galper, please.
Thank everybody. Thank you. Very kind of you. Didn't have to do that at all. I'm standing over here, and you're watching the video, and I'm looking over here going, sex. Is this like something you put on purpose to distract me? Is that what it is? It's a speaker thing, you know. You get the speaker all distracted. I was like, going, okay, learning sex, interesting. Anyways, so look, it's great to be here. I'm a local. I live in Sydney, near Bondi there, and been here for 10 years. And hopefully today will definitely change your thinking on selling in a whole different way. I was just in the U.S. just past last month with a family on a holiday. And when I was there, I did a conference in Dallas, spoke to about 600 financial advisors, and I was one of 3 speakers. And I was the last one on the stage the next day, and there were 2 before me. And the first one was great, did very well. And the second one was a Mr. X. He was a mystery speaker. Nobody knew who he was. And he had a 4-hour time slot. And we were all kind of guessing, who could this mystery speaker be? He's a motivational speaker, you know, and supposed to be famous is what they said. And no one knew what it was, knew who it was. So we kept asking ourselves, who could be the speaker? Who could speak for 4 hours straight, you know, without stopping? And I knew I was after this person, so it was kind of a mystery, like, who is this person? So after lunch, we got back, and we were all back in chairs, 500 people, and the guy in charge of the event gets up there and says, I want you all to know that we have a special guest today for the next 4 hours, and it is Mr. Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins shows up on stage. And I'm like, whoa, I had no idea. And I remember telling my dad when I was a kid, I said, one day, I want to get on stage with Tony Robbins. That's like my ultimate goal, you know. And next thing I know, he's on stage, you know. And he just goes for who's been to an event of one of his, right? This guy can go like a weekend without stopping. I mean, like around the clock. He just has like massive energy. So he had the entire room like, you know how just jumping. And I was like, how am I going to top this one? Just a guy, I'm not that famous like he is, you know? And so he's got the entire room riled up, and I'm thinking to myself, this is interesting. Come on tomorrow morning, and, you know, they set the bar a bit high here. So he did an incredible job. It was great to see him there. And so the next morning came up, and people were saying, Ari, you know, good luck, you know, you gotta raise the bar here. I mean, Tony, and, you know, you're next. And so I started thinking to myself, what do I have that Tony doesn't have? You know, what could I say and get up there and talk about that he can't talk about? So I started thinking to myself, I said, there's one thing I have that he doesn't have. And that is that I live in Australia. Because I know every American wants to come to Australia, and it's on their bucket list, you know. So I got up there, and they showed this video, you know, and they start to hear that, oh, I live in Sydney, I'm Australian, and you can kind of see they're kind of perking up with interest because Oprah was here, and they're all kind of curious, like, what life is like here. So I'm getting up there and introduced, and I start hearing questions from the audience like, well, what's it like there? You know, what's Australia like? You know, is there the Australian dream like the American dream? Can you come with nothing and work your way up to something and become somebody in that country? And I said, obviously it's a very industrious country. Aussies are hard workers, and they said, well, you know, prove it to us. Show us that if you go to Australia and you come with nothing, you can become somebody. I said, well, I don't know what to show you. I'm a bit humble. But he's like, well, tell us about it. What can you show us that you know, make us excited about Australia? I said, well, not much I can show you. I'm a bit of a humble guy. But my wife and I just bought a small fixer-upper in Sydney near the water that we're working on for the long term. We're still painting it, a few windows putting together. And it's a space for us to have long term for the kids. It's a small little gift to ourselves for coming here 10 years with nothing. Starting my Unlock the Game business and kind of growing it. But if you want to show it to you, but again, get your expectations low because it's not something that I would want to show to a lot of people. They said, well, just show us something. Show us that, you know, show us this place you get working on. I said, okay, I will, but keep your expectations low. So I went ahead and showed them my house. They said, damn, this guy has made it. I said, look, we're still working on the windows. We're still painting it, but we're getting closer. I said, you know, it's a work in progress. It's a bit humble. You know, they're just like, a lot of them are kind of like thinking this is true, you know, because they haven't been here before. Like, God, this guy really has made it, you know. And some of them are like, that's the Opera House, you know. I said, you like the house? Wait till I show you the backyard, because from the stairs, we put this in a few weeks ago. You go into the pool, and inside the pool, there's some really cool views of these fish, and it's just so clear. There's coral everywhere. Of course, they don't know that's the Great Barrier Reef. That's okay. You know, the Americans kind of just believe anything, you know? And so they're just on a high, and they're just like, okay, so there goes Tony on, now it's me on top, you know? So that's how I started to talk, you know, they're pretty excited. But anyways, I am very proud, though, actually, to be living here. And recently, I just passed probably the most important test of my life. You know what that is? Aussie citizenship, ladies and gentlemen. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. And I bet you I know more about your country than you do. Who wants to test me? It's in this book. I studied this and finally passed it. So I am very proud of that. So I am here now. So a bit about me on the personal side. So I'm from California. Maybe got the accent there. Don't hold that against me. I know Aussies got to hear American accent. They go, oh, is this guy real? You know. And so my wife's from Sydney. She was working in Los Angeles 10 years ago for a cruise line. And we met there on a dating site. Online 10 years ago. She's in Los Angeles, I'm in San Diego. She sees the profile and Latin dancing, and she starts to email me, and we have a conversation. I use my trust-based sales approach, and next thing I know, I'm sitting here, you know? So it wasn't as refined back then as it is now, but so we dated, and she says to me, come visit my family in Australia. I said, okay, I'll come. It's a long trip, but I'll come. So I came out here, we got engaged, and we got married, actually, at the Star City Casino near the Opera House. That was the wedding there. Then we decided to go back to the United States and live there, basically, and start my business. And after about 2 months of being there, we had a beautiful gift named Toby, who's a very special boy. I'll tell you about him in a few minutes. But because he has special needs more than other kids, we decided to bring him to Australia, because this isn't a great country for kids, bring kids up. And she has 3 generations of family within like a 5-kilometer radius. And I had a small family in California. So we decided, you know what? For his growth, let's pack everything up and just move here. So we moved here 10 years ago, and 3 years later we had another gift, which is our son, Toby, Nathan, and they're best friends, and then Jamie. Her birthday actually is tomorrow, so I'm leaving after this talk to go to her birthday party. And that's the family back at home. That's me on the personal side. The professional side, I've been in quite a few books already in this country, in the bookstores, by the airports. Have you seen this series called Secrets Exposed? So I was the top sales professional in Australia in one of these books. I also do a lot of work with entrepreneurs, a lot of companies, and applying trust to their entire sales process. I have some clients I work with on that. And also there's a few U.S. kind of gurus and sales gurus who have me in all their books as well. Anybody know someone named Dan Kennedy? He's a U.S. marketer. He has me in all of his books as well. But the one book I'm most proud of, that means the most to me and my clients, is this one. And that is Lessons from Toby. This is about my son, Toby, our firstborn. When he was born, about 2 hours after he was born, the doctors told us that he had Down syndrome. And at first, we didn't understand how to compute that. Then we realized what a gift we had on our hands. Who in the room knows a Down syndrome person? Anybody? What's the language they communicate with? Love. That is how they communicate. And Toby made such an impact on my life that his view of the world is the foundation of my entire sales process and philosophy. Because he's so authentic. He has no, again, emotional, he has no hidden agenda, and he just connects with people. And that, I believe, is what's lost in our world today. Trust at so many levels, you know, from business to families, and he brings that back. So in many ways, he's the real guru behind the guru. And so I wrote this book about him. It came from a story when he was 2 years old, watching with other kids. I wrote a story about him called Lessons from Toby, and how he was with the other kids and how he's a bit different in terms of just connecting with kids. And I emailed that letter to my whole subscriber list of 50,000 subscribers, and the next day it came back in my inbox. What do you think? Like hundreds of emails saying, this is life-changing, thank you so much. I took those comments, rewrote them in this book called Lessons from Toby. So I have one copy. Anybody like a copy? Come forward right now. First person forward can have this copy. Hey, all right, ladies and gentlemen, walk. Round of applause for Nick. All right, round of applause. So he has a big influence in my thinking around sales. So on the professional side, I'm the creator of Unlock the Game. I've been doing this for 10 years now. We have thousands of people implementing Unlock the Game around the world. Big corporates, the small businesses. Anybody heard of this guy here? Brian Tracy? He's been here quite a bit, I think, over the years. He's a big endorser of what we do. We have literally small businesses in every industry you can imagine, from consulting to IT supplies, insurance, construction, pest control, real estate recruitment. What you learn with me over time is that ultimately what you're selling in itself is difficult to differentiate, because everyone else does similar things to what you might be doing. What we realize is it's not about what you're selling anymore. It's about how you're doing it, the way in which you communicate with people. If you can define that on a trust-based level, that becomes the way you differentiate your company from everybody else. Not your service and benefits and features, but on how good you create trust with people. That make sense? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk you through right now a basic sales process. Probably applies to all of you right now, and show you how our trust-based model fits into selling, for those of you who aren't quite clear what this is all about, okay? Let me kind of walk you through a basic sales process. Let me know if I'm off or wrong on this. My guesses are probably pretty close. So step number one in selling is what? Either you call a potential client or they call you, right? Make sense so far? And from there, what happens? You ask some questions, have a conversation, right? If that goes well, then hopefully you schedule an appointment. So far, kind of basic sales process. If that goes well, you make a presentation about what you do when you're offering, and then from there, you follow up, right? And then hopefully you follow up, all goes well, and the sales close. That's basically the sales process. What we discovered was that if you don't put trust between each of these steps in the process, you don't consciously insert it along the way, you'll end up what I call a chasing game, meaning chasing potential clients who have no intention of buying. How many of you in the room right now have clients in your pipeline who you've had a meeting with, a good dialogue with, they showed interest, but are not calling you back? Probably nobody here, no. Oh, some of you. Oh, okay, okay. So some of you right now are what I call the chasing game. You're chasing what I call ghosts. People have showed interest in what you have to say, but aren't moving forward. And you know why that's happening? Because somewhere along the way, you didn't put trust into your process. And what's happening is you're leaving a lot of revenue and sales in your business on the table by not having a methodology for putting trust back in the process. Does that make sense so far? If you put that in the process, what happens is you get what I call a sales breakthrough. So today is about shifting your mindset to a whole new way of thinking, away from the sale, to putting trust back in the process to create more sales. So just out of curiosity, let me kind of ask you, if you, for a moment you had to estimate how much revenue or sales do you believe you are not getting each day or month, or say each month, by deals that are not coming through your pipeline? Think in your mind, how much is that worth to you a month? Maybe 5,000, 10,000, 100,000. Could be in that range. Think about it. Times 12. 100,000 a year, 50,000, 500,000 a year, a million a year. Probably a lot, is my guess, in all your businesses here. So that's the opportunity right now that you have to recover that income that's being lost in your process by not having enough trust. So my guess is most of you in this room who are business owners, how many are business owners in this room? Mostly probably everybody. Have certain elements that make you credible as a business person, right? You probably have a good product and service. I'm sure you all have legitimate stuff that you're offering to people. You probably even have a professional appearance. You all seem to be professional, so that's not an issue here. Appearance is there, not stopping you from making the sales. You probably have an online presence, right? You have a website, this is social media, so you are out there. That's not holding you back from selling. You probably have some marketing materials that you work with as well, somewhere along the way. You probably have inbound leads for some of you because you do marketing. Some of you do outbound calls. How many do outbound calls? Okay. How many get inbound leads in your business or what you do right now? Okay. So somewhere along the way, there's some throughput, right? You got stuff coming in, stuff coming out. That's not blocking you right now from super success. And my guess is your heart's in the right place and you want to help people, right? So you got the basic ingredients for a 7-figure income and success. But the question is, what's missing? Well, what you have there is only what I make a case today is half the solution. Those elements alone won't take your business to a new level. In fact, Harvard just did a recent study on trust in business, and this came right from the report. It said try to be more dominant. The dominant one in the interaction is probably harder to make it, is probably going to make it harder for you to get accurate information about the other person because it can shut them down. So the whole idea of closing people, putting pressure on people, closes people down. So your first goal of the process now is to actually, based on the study, is to build trust first before you show your competence. What's interesting is we are conditioned and wired. When someone says what we say? We try and show them what? Our competence. Because you know your stuff so well, you want to explain to people what you do. But I'll share with you today some ideas around the concept that if you don't build trust first, before you start selling, you'll be chasing and losing opportunities. That's the space I work in. I've defined that space. In fact, I'll give you an example right now. How many in this room have actually made a sale before without even trying? It just happened naturally. No pressure, no, just flowed out, and you're like saying to yourself, this is how life should be. Anybody in the room? Yeah? That's how life should be, right? So what you did unconsciously, I have put into a conscious system. That makes sense? Yeah. So what happens to you randomly can now happen to you like every day. It happens to all my clients every day, those who master this, because they realize they got to stop selling and start creating trust consciously. Okay? So here's the way I look at it. You got to start creating trust through your believability, not your credibility. All those things you can show people, it's not enough anymore. It's about how much they believe that you're authentic and want to help people. So I'm going to hopefully today move you from here, focusing on your pitch, your solution, what you do as a company, to focus on how well you can put trust back into your process. Okay? So what is trust? Trust is a feeling, isn't it? It's not something you can see it. It's something people feel. It's intuitive. It just happens naturally. It's not even logical. I'll give you an example. What if you have the back pain in the back of your neck and your family says to you, you should go see a chiro. They can really help you out. But you say to yourself, never been to chiro, what do you say to yourself? I don't want someone touching my neck. I don't trust that, right? But they say to you, you should really go. They'll help you in so many ways, and you finally decide to what? To go. Do you actually go online and research this chiro? Do you call the association to identify any issues with anything logical in that decision? No. That was all based on what? That trust is what you can actually create and systematize back in your business every day to have that genuine feeling all the way through your process to help your company grow. Okay? So here's what happens to happen today. I'm going to help try and shift you from selling what you have to becoming what I call a trusted confidant. A trusted confidant. That's defined as this: a close friend or associate to whom secrets are confided, or with whom private matters and problems are being discussed. That's the level of communication you need to move to with people and clients out there so they feel comfortable telling you what? What their true issues are. Is that a good place to be with clients? Yes. That's the place we all need to be every day with clients. And unfortunately, they have their guard up and wall up, and we're trying to sell, and now it becomes a battle. So today's about breaking that down and going to a whole new place. You okay with this so far? Yeah? Okay, so let me start with my story behind this concept and then begin to share with you things you can do right away. So about 9 years ago, I was a sales manager back in California, and I was managing a group of salespeople, about 18 of them. We were the first company that provided live stats on the internet to track websites, like hits and page views and online statistics. That's all like free on Google now, but back then it actually cost money, believe it or not. And so we were growing quickly. I was managing 18 people, but my job was also to bring the large accounts, the big opportunities. And for 6 months, I was working on one customer, one client, and if I closed a sale in itself, it would double the revenues of the entire company. So you can imagine, a lot of excitement around this opportunity. My contact finally agrees to a conference call with all his decision makers in New York, and us in our conference room in California for a live demo and a final call for bringing this together. So I'll never forget, it was a Friday at 4 o'clock. I came in the office, and the whole office is like, Ari, high five, and they're already counting their bonuses for the year, and they're putting pressure on me. This is a kind of big conversation. And I go in the conference room with my director and myself. We close the door, and there were like windows like this, and they had their ears against the window because they want to this is like they're counting their money already. I'm like, guys, I closed the blinds down, just go away. And so I had a speakerphone in the middle of the table. I dialed the number my contact gave me, and I dialed right into their offices in New York in their conference table. And the call goes right into their offices, and in that room everyone in that room is a decision maker. I'm hearing people talking. My contact says hello, and it begins to go around the room doing what? introducing everybody. And they introduce themselves. They say, hi, my name's John. I'm the head of sales. Hi, my name is Michael. I'm the CEO. Hi, my name's Julie. I'm head of marketing. I'm saying to myself, what? This is the dream call. Because everyone in that room is a what? A decision maker, right? This is what we all kind of hope to get to eventually at the end of the sales process. So I'm like, yes. So we go around the room, and I begin to demonstrate our product over the web, showing them all the statistics, and I start showing them everything on the web, and I start to hear noises like, wow, this is amazing. We can use this. This is great. We can save money. We can make money with this thing. They start asking me all kinds of questions, and I had all kinds of what? Answers. This call was like a love fest on the phone. Who's been there before? You know that feeling? They got the questions, you got the what? Answers. There's no resistance. You're saying to yourself, what? This is slam dunk. This is how sales should be. So I'm elevating off the floor. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm feeling love here, and so are they. It's mutual back and forth. And I'm doing everything I'm trained to do in sales. I'm overcoming objections. I'm trial closing. I'm building rapport. All the techniques I was taught to do, I'm doing all these things, and that's all working well. So an hour goes by, and the call comes to an end. My contact says, thank you so much. We appreciate the call. Give us a call in a couple weeks and what? Follow up with us, right? I said, no worries. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so I'm reaching for the speakerphone, hit the off button in the middle of the table. And I take my arm to hit that off button, and by complete accident, now I say divine intervention, my thumb hit the mute button instead of the off button. They were both right next to each other. I got extra big thumbs for some reason. And I hit that mute button, and a split second, they thought I what? Hung up the phone. And a little devil on this side of my ear says to me, pull back. Go to the dark side. Listen in. Go to a place where no one's ever gone before and say, listen, be a fly on the wall. Hear what they have to say. And this side of me said, just hang up. It'll all be fine. It's a great call. Now, who do you suppose won that battle? The devil won that battle. So I pulled my thumb back, and they thought I hung up the phone. And they started talking amongst themselves, thinking I had left the call. Anybody guess in the room which that I may have heard? We just had a great call. She's like, we had a great call. What do you suppose they were saying? What do you given the call we just had, what do you suppose what they were saying? Can he be trusted? Okay. Interesting. What else? Too good to be true? Is it worthwhile for a business? Fair enough. I can see in your eyes, you're working really hard right now to imagine what they could have said given the call we just had, right? Well, let me tell you what they said verbatim, word for word. I'll never forget it. It changed my lives and the lives of my clients and myself. And they said this. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information. And make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife in heart, twist. I was in a state of shock. I started shaking, like right there. I mean, I went white. I was like, what? I was just so startled, just shocked. And I finally reached over, hit the off button, and just sitting there shocked, I looked at the wall and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I did everything I was supposed to do in sales. I presented. There was good chemistry. I answered questions about rapport. I was credible. And the first epiphany hit me in my mind. A big flash came in my brain. And it was this, that somewhere along the way, it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth to people who sell. Is that true? Is that true? That's true. Right? It's okay to say things like, sounds good, send me information, send me a what? Proposal. But having no intention of what? True, right? Then I said to myself, why were they afraid to tell me the truth? What are people in business and sales taught to do when they hear things they don't want to hear in selling? What do they start doing harder? They start selling harder, right? When you sell harder, you put what on people? Sales what? Pressure. Exactly. And that is your operative word today. I realized that moment that there is an invisible river of pressure that flows underneath every conversation you have with a prospect. Now, you can't see it, and they can't see it, but can you both feel it? A mile away. And I realized if I can create at that moment a system or a way to remove that pressure from the process, I'll be the first one in the world to ever figure out a way to remove that wall and build trust from the beginning to see if there's a fit to both sides. That's why I invented my Unlock the Game system, designed to unlock the crazy game of chasing people with a whole new way of thinking, where the goal of the process is not to focus on making the sale anymore. The goal of the process is to create trust first. And that in itself is a major shift in thinking. It's a whole mindset shift because we are conditioned and wired to go get what? A sale. Isn't that how we're wired, right? If a prospect comes in your phone line, you get a phone call or a referral, what do you think to yourself? Yes, an opportunity, right? So we are conditioned, our mind is conditioned to immediately go to the end goal. And until hopefully today, I'll be able to unravel that a bit and show you a different way of thinking to build that trust and double or triple what you're doing right now in sales. Does that make sense so far? That's the premise behind today. It is shift in thinking. And from that, I'll begin to give you things to use right away, to apply, to watch things happen. So for me to do this, I have to do one more thing. I have to basically clean out any old thinking in your mind about what you believe selling is. I'm going to do that right now by going through some what I call myths, some sales myths, and challenge you with that a bit. Then we'll pour in some new ideas to kind of help you move things forward. All right? So you fill in the blanks for me, okay? First one. Sales is a what game?
Numbers.
Does that sound familiar? Anybody heard that before in this room?
Yeah.
Familiar concept, right? Where do you suppose that idea came from?
The boss.
Yeah. So it came from a salesperson making a phone call, getting rejected, and what their boss say. It's a numbers game. Just keep going. Because the more contacts you make, the more you'll get the other end of the side, right? That's kind of the thinking. Well, that was like fine back in the 80s and 90s when there was enough trust out there. But now when trust is so low, it's not about how many contacts you make anymore. It's about how well you connect one-on-one in each conversation, not how many contacts you make. The new measurement is not your behaviors of contacts anymore. The new measurement is how good you are creating trust in every conversation. How deep do you go in the dialogue with people? Are you at the surface level, just talking nice things, or do you actually go down to their issues? That is a shift in thinking, which is a real challenge for those of you in the room who still run your salespeople by what? How many contacts they make. We push them harder, so it's a real flip in thinking. But stay with me on this. I'll make a case for this in a little bit, okay? Number two, the sale is lost at the end of the process. Who in the room has actually had a deal that was going well, contract's ready to go, at the end, it just dropped out for some reason, didn't go through. Anybody had that experience before? Just fell through? Yeah? What goes through your mind when that happens? What do you say to yourself? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I what better? Why didn't I close better? I'm not a good closer. You start beating yourself up, asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? You know what we discovered? We discovered that the sale is not lost at the end anymore. It's actually lost where? At the beginning of the process, not the end. I'll prove it to you right now. If someone calls your office and you pick up the phone and you hear, hi, my name is, I am, we are a, what goes through your mind in about 3 seconds? It's over where? At hello, isn't it? I'm going to challenge you today in that to say that you are losing your sales not at the end of the process anymore. You're losing your opportunity and your ability to grow at the beginning of the process. because somewhere along the way, you're still conditioned to sell, no matter how aggressive or non-aggressive you might be. Let's try another one. Is this new for anybody in the room? I overcome what? Objections? That's a common sales phrase, terms, isn't it? So what happens if you attempt to overcome an objection and what they're telling you is true? What could be broken right there? What could break right there? Trust, immediately. But we've been trained by the gurus, right? We get an objection, what do? We smash them. But now we're risking the what? The relationship. That's not right, is it? So in our world, we don't overcome objections. What we do is we what? We diffuse them. We have a system for diffusing the objections, bringing the walls down to re-engage again, to get behind them, to get to the truth. Okay? The last thing is this one. Rejection is a normal part of selling. Who's heard that before, right? It's kind of like a male macho, hey, if you can't take a no, if you don't have the armor on, you are made for what? Rejection. You aren't made for sale. You aren't made for success because you have to be tough to get out there and be successful. Right, ladies? You know, sometimes like you gotta get in there and, right? You know what we discovered? This might shock a few in the room. The rejection actually is triggered. It's triggered. It's triggered by things you are doing, things you are saying. Your own self is triggering rejection from your clients to push back on you. It's not just out there. So imagine if I give you today, would you want this? The actual triggers. What's causing that? If you remove that from your process, you are rejection-free. I mean, imagine a world where you're rejection-free. It's hard to imagine, I know. Because it sounds too good to be true, Ari. All clients said at the beginning until they come through our process. Because when you realize, and I'll prove it to you today, you'll probably laugh a bit, there are things you're saying right now causing your potential clients to put their wall up that you wouldn't even know is happening. Let's do this for a couple seconds. With a partner at your table, get together and tell them one or two things so far that I've said that you believe could jog your brain a bit for a new idea, a revelation, a concept. What's intriguing to you so far you've heard from me in the last 15 minutes, okay? Go ahead with a partner and have a discussion real quick.
All right. You go first.
So what came up on your table? What idea, what concept has got you thinking in your table? Anyone want to share? Okay, go ahead.
We work for the same organisation,
okay.
Same team.
Yep.
Okay? So recently I've taken over some of our marketing and I've said, right, we're scrapping everything we're doing. We're going to move more towards a relationship model.
Uh-huh.
So for us, we just looked at each other and went, I feel validated.
Okay.
I'm like, I told you.
Okay. So from a minute, you probably, in your gut level, intuition, you know that trust and relationships are what makes you successful. But in many cases, that's still inside you, has not come out yet into a system that can be communicated. Because intuitively, all of you want to help people. What we have between that and the end goal is a system that's out there right now that's really causing problems. What else? Anything over here that came up in your conversations that was interesting you want to share? Back here, yeah.
In our discussion, I realised personally for myself, even as a consumer, that I tend to buy from people that I certainly form a relationship with. I don't like the hard sell at all.
Right.
And what you were saying is that pressure, the walls go up, that's
right.
certainly the case.
So we all know that as consumers, when we feel it, our guard goes up, yeah.
Well, it's exactly what you said. All sales now are a relationship. We've actually just embarked on an 18-month program creating relationships. 18
months to get relationships?
Oh. Well, no, it'll take us. It'll take 18 months to actually see fruition.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
To fish upstream as opposed to in the same pond as everyone else.
Gotcha.
And it's scary what you're saying because that's how it is now. Because there is no trust in sales.
Yeah. Anything else back here? You're good? Or?
I don't like high pressure sales. I do high pressure sales, but I don't like it.
Okay.
One of the areas which on one of my businesses what I do is I struggle with that because I find a lot of clients are actually just picking your brain. And I find that just when you said that you put the mute button, I have that very, very frequently where people are just out there to pick your brain, not interested in engaging your services. So I'm just like, well, okay, how can we close that?
Right. Anybody else have experience at all in their businesses?
Yeah.
Same thing, they rip you off, get it
Why do they do that? Why do you suppose there's a condition to do that and they feel so uncomfortable doing that? Why is that?
Because the media tells you to do it. You know,
So
they advertise that.
because
Easy to fix.
we're perhaps in the
Someone's
mindset
50 grand
of
more.
being the experts and providing answers rather than asking them what their situation
Okay.
is.
I think it's all right. I think we've been burned. We've all been burned in many ways to the point where we're so sensitive. The minute we sense any momentum towards us about selling, what does our body do and our blood do? It just goes up. And it's so potent right now. Unless you put trust back into your business model, you will just lose so much opportunity because you weren't aware of what was happening. All right, so thank you for those comments, by the way. It's all very true. So how many in the room are a little more, way your brain works, more engineering oriented? You like things in steps. Like you love processes. Like if you see a flow chart, you get excited. Yeah? People go, Ari, this trust stuff is so abstract. Give it to me in a process. I hear this all the time, right? I don't want to grab it. So here's what I've done. I have a gift for you. I put my system into a flow chart for you. Woo! Nice little boxes and arrows. Is that good? Okay, good. So let me first walk you through a flow chart of the typical sales process that happens, not in this door, but outside these doors most likely. Okay, here's the first step of the process. Usually it goes like this. Make your sales pitch. Step number 2, close your eyes. Step number 3, hope it works. Okay, that's basically the model people default to when they're not sure what to do, right? So let me kind of walk you through what our process is, okay? And it goes like this, called the mindset flow. First step is focus on the truth, not the sale. When you do that, what happens is resistance begins to diffuse in your conversations. And when that happens is people start to open up to you, right? They begin to share things with you you never would have gotten at any other time in the process because you built that trust early on. And from there, you both can determine if you're a what together. If you're a fit. And if you're a fit, then you move towards a sale. If you're not a fit, then you what? You walk away with integrity. Now let me tell you, that little yellow symbol there is where what we do is so different than every other sales model you've probably seen in your history in the work world. Because in sales, we are trained to basically chase anything that moves, right? Right? We gotta leave, we gotta go. Right? We just jam, we just go. And if we let it go, our boss says to us, what? Just go get it. We have no mechanism to sift out who's a fit and not a fit. So we are conditioned to chase anything in our zone that appears to be a what? A prospect. That is a waste of energy and a loss of time and money all day long. Unlock the game is the first ever method to sift out and identify the truth of who's a fit with you and who's not. So you can actually tell the potential client, guess what? You're not a fit for us. Can you imagine, in a nice way, telling your potential clients in your process, when you determine they're not a fit, you tell them that you're probably not a fit together? That's a whole shift in the entire way of thinking around selling. And I'll share with you today, through proof, if you do this right, this will change everything in the way you do business in so many ways, and personally as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through what I call principles, 3 principles behind Unlock the Game, which is our system. And from that, I'm going to give you examples. And remember I mentioned to you earlier the whole triggers around rejection? Well, one of the triggers is languaging. I've invented my own what I call trust-based languaging. My own words and phrases that we use to replace sales words and languaging that cause pressure and guard to go up. And my guess is somebody in this room might be guilty of using that languaging. And we'll discover that in a little while, okay? So let me kind of walk you through the principles behind our system and give you some of languaging to show you how it all works. It all comes together, okay? So the first principle is the idea of always diffusing pressure. Number 1 is diffusing pressure in the process. Who in the room has heard of the martial art called Aikido? Anybody? Okay. Have you heard of like Taekwondo and karate? Right? So in that kind of art, when somebody attacks you, what's the response back in that kind of art? You defend, right? You push resistance against what? Resistance. That's the model there. With Aikido, it's a bit different. In that model, when someone comes at you, rather than resisting them, what do you do instead? Anyone know? You flow at them, you diffuse the conflict. So at the end, nobody gets hurt. Aikido is what Unlock the Game is based on. Because the sales process contains conflict and contains pressure. When you commit to being a black belt and unlock the game, you can see the pressure coming your direction, you can diffuse it, and get to the truth. Would it help you if I showed you a video of this in action on the screen, how it all works, the actual art? Let's see how this works. Volume okay? We'll see. We'll go.
It doesn't look like fighting, more like a quiet dance. And that's the beauty of Aikido. It's an elegant martial art that teaches one to propel an attack by staying calm, to greet a punch with grace, not aggression.
If somebody's giving you that aggression, if you give it back to them, it's going to explode.
Michael Veltri runs the Aikido dojo on Connecticut Avenue. He's the sensei, or master teacher. He is also a former Marine who studied Aikido for 10 years in Japan to learn the art of not fighting.
If we have a fire burning, you can add more fire to it to try and burn it out. And that's adding aggression. Or you can throw water on it and put it out. In Aikido, that's what we're learning to do. Throw water on somebody's aggression to just put it out without making it more combustible.
Aikido never seeks to harm the aggressor. How that translates into physical action is where the discipline comes in. Students employ a series of subtle but technical moves that allow them to quickly but gently gain control of their attacker without using resistance.
If a person's grabbing and I try to use force against force, the strongest person wins. I can relax and move around a person, and that doesn't take power or speed. It just requires me to relax and move in a natural way.
Does that make sense? It's a different way of thinking. But if you really own this mindset and shift, and I'll give you now some samples of languaging, you'll be able to diffuse the pressure in your marketing process and sales process and build that trust almost instantly. Okay? Let me walk you through an example. So like I said, one of the systems to our model is the mindset shift towards the truth. The other thing is languaging. So I'm going to give you now an example of our languaging that's designed to create trust and get the truth early in the process, okay? Let's do an example. Let's say, here's scenario number one. Let's say you're on the phone with a potential client or prospect, right? First conversation. Fair enough? Call is going well, good chemistry, call comes to an end. What are we trained to do typically at the end of a call like that? What do we say? Not a trick question. What do you say to somebody end of a call like that? What do we say? What do you want to buy? What else do we say? What? Next step? What else? We are conditioned to do what? Move which direction? Towards the sale. So same scenario with our philosophy and languaging. Call is going well. Call comes to an end. Rather than saying, hey, let's move these, let's go towards the sale, what we say is this instead. We say, where do you think we should go from here? And I'll say it again. Write this down. Where do you think we should go from here? How does that change the moment? What are they thinking right now? What's that? They're empowered. Okay. What else? What is happening right now in this moment? Let them decide. What else? Lower resistance. First of all, they are in a state of shock. And you are probably too, right? He's like, what? Why is that? They can't believe They're being treated like a human being and not a prospect. This, for them, surprises them. They're not used to this honest communication that's not designed to move them towards the what? They can't believe that you're willing to actually listen to them. And my guess is most of you in this room probably are great listeners. But as you're listening, you're saying to yourself, what? This is looking good. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, this is definitely quality. This is my month. This, right? Right? There's the cruise. There's the bonus. There it is. Are you being 100% present in that moment with somebody? Can they feel that from you a mile away? Absolutely. So what did you notice when I said, where do you think we should go from here? How did I go about saying that? What did you pick up on that? What's this? Okay, tone, voice. What else? Calming. Deliberate. A bit of pausing. Let me tell you, the other trigger to rejection is your delivery. The speed in which you come across. Not pausing. Not slowing down. All these things send the message that you are just out to make what? The sale. And this is tough. Because I know. When you hear silence in the conversation, you're thinking to yourself, what? Shit. I gotta say something because no one's talking. Because you feel obligated to keep going because you feel like if you don't keep going, what's going to happen? You see how wired we've all been? We're so conditioned to this end goal that our behaviors, how we come across, even the words we use, send that message, which causes us to be in the chasing game, losing all that opportunity. So languaging and delivery are keys to literally removing rejection and chasing from your entire process. Let me tell you, if I left today right now, just took off, you had that one phrase, and you use that in your offices on tomorrow and all week long, you watch what will happen. It is so potent. Now, keep in mind, this is not a script. You can't say, hey, where do you think we should go from here? People go, Ari, that's a great line. I'm going to write it down. I mean, you have to have the right mindset. Your goal cannot be what? The sale. Your goal is to diffuse that pressure using Ari's trust-based languaging to be authentic in this process. You can't disconnect. A lot of gurus go, oh, ask questions, be consultative, add trust. They don't know how to do that because they haven't connected the dots together like we have. In the right mindset, right languaging, you build that authenticity early on in the process. Now, what's interesting is when you own this concept and deliver this right in that moment of that scenario, what will happen is they'll say to you, well, I do have a question. What about this? If they are a fit, you know what they're going to say? What do you think they'll say to you? Yeah. They say, hey, how about we get together and move things what? They move the sales process forward versus you having to think, how can I get this guy over the line, right? That's stressful. That puts you at one level lower below the person. So it's quite potent. In fact, last year, I was asked to speak at, and I accepted, at Telstra's Global Sales Conference at the Darling Harbor Conference Center there, like 1,000 people in the room, reps, And I did this talk, a lot longer than this, and I gave them this one phrase. I said, look, I want you to leave this week after my talk and email us after you attempt to try this languaging in your sales process. So the next week we got an email back that looked like this. Hello, Ari. I thought I'd drop you a quick line to say thank you for speaking at our conference in Sydney. Initially, I thought your talk about objections would be a waste of time. I love that. However, I was wrong. I tried your simple, where do you think we should go from here with a customer the other day. As it turns out, help us secure a $400,000 contract. Good round of applause for Ryan for trying this. With a simple shift in that one languaging, the client felt comfortable opening up with the last obstacle left to make the sale happen.
Pretty impressive, based on the fact that I didn't know anybody in Australia still trusted Telstra.
Yeah, that's what probably hired me. They're still working on it. So that's the key principle there is diffusing pressure. Let's try number 2. Number 2 is this notion of getting to the what? The truth. People go, Ari, what does that mean? It just sounds so abstract. What that means is helping your potential clients in the process reveal to you and tell you what they're actually thinking. What's on their mind? What do they really need? At a deep level. I'll give you an example of this, to actually in play, a real life scenario. Recently, somebody called our office in Sydney, got through my gatekeepers and got through to me, and the phone rang, and I picked the phone up, and I heard this. I heard, "Hi, my name is Michael. I'm with XYZ company. They're a big corporate. You recognize the name? They're like this on a big building in the CBD in Sydney, big company. I'm the head of global sales, and we're looking at bringing a thought leader to change our culture. We're looking at you and 2 other people, and we're in phase 1 right now, just asking some questions. So we'd like to know, first of all, why you're the best, why should we go with you, and give us your best sales pitch."
Did you hang up?
He's putting what on me now? He's pressuring me. It goes both ways, doesn't it? He wants me to start doing what?
Selling.
Isn't that the game, though? Is that the game we're supposed to be doing now? Is start doing what? Selling? That's the process, right? But we all learn what happens when we do that, right? Right? All problems? So I took I'm a human being too. I took a deep breath. Big company name. Big lot of people. Took a deep breath. Went back to my principles. Diffused the pressure. Get to the truth. And I responded to him. You want to know what I said to him? Here's what I said. I lowered my voice and I said, "Well, isn't that interesting?" Because over here at our company, we have a very similar process to you. We have a phase 1 where we ask some questions, gather information, see if we're a good fit. Then if we're a good fit, we decide where to go from there. Would you be open to that? That's all I said. All I said. Next thing I hear on the phone is, guess what?
Silence?
Nothing. Not a word from this guy. It's like a pin just dropped. I couldn't hear a thing. I said, is he still there? Next thing I hear on the phone, I almost felt a breath, like he actually breathed, like a human, like a real, he actually breathed through the phone, like I felt the breath almost in my ear, like he's waking up. And he lowers his voice, and he says to me, okay, what kind of questions do you have for me? Next thing I know, we're having a normal conversation. No one's playing games. No one's huffy-puffy. We're having a mate-to-mate, human-to-human conversation. And in that dialogue, I discover, 1, he's not a decision maker. 2, he has no budget. And 3, he's just curious as to what I do. So I sent him off very nicely and gracefully to my site for some free information. He was quite happy with that. He was thanked me very much for the conversation, and off he went. We hung up the phone. What did that just save me months of? Time, chasing, what else? Angst?
Going against your own principles.
Actually, there's this drug that's in our bodies. It's activated at moments like that. You know what it's called? Hopium. You know the hopium drug, don't you? You know the come on, you know the hopium. You go home, you tell your husband and wife, guess what, honey? This is the month. I got the deal. We're gonna double it. Yeah, you know the hopium drug? You get so excited. You follow up, you call them, and you're like, this is great. They don't call you back. Something starts to happen. You start to kind of like crash, like a drug. You're like, this sucks. This is terrible. You know the hopium drug? We all got it. We all got it. It's all in your bloods. You know what unlock the game is? It detoxes you from that. It detoxes it out of your bloodstream. So you are no longer manipulated again in the sales process. And you bring the person's humanity out, and you both have a normal conversation to see if it's a what together. How does that sound? Wouldn't our world be better with this? Our lives? Like, are you starting to see how this is like goes maybe beyond sales? Anyone in the room? This isn't sales training. What is this really? What is this thing? It's trust training. It doesn't exist outside these doors, except through us. I'll tell you a story. Last year, there was a guy who saw us talk, and he's like, I'm going to buy everything you have. I don't care how much it costs. I go, whoa. What do you do? He's, well, I'm not in business, and I'm not in sales. I said, well, why do you want to get into our stuff? He goes, because I have a teenage son. I said, really? What's the problem? We cannot connect. Who has kids in the room? All right. So you may relate to some of this. We cannot connect. We're battling with each other. And he has his new car we got to him. He comes home at light after curfew every night. He comes to the front door, and I am just, we're battling heads. And so I want to learn your system to build trust with him and get the truth, solve the problem. I said, okay, sounds good. Let me know how it goes. Calls us back a few months later. He said, let me tell you what happened, Ari. One night he came home late after curfew in his car, and he walks in the front door. I took a deep breath, went back to your principles and your systems and your methods, and he walks in, and I said to him, son, would you be what? Open to the possibility of us working together to try and solve this problem together of you coming home late. Would you be open to that? What do you suppose the son says to him?
No.
He says, are you on drugs, Dad? My God, what are you smoking? This is not my phone. I'm not used to this kind of communication. This is very odd. I can't relate to somebody talking to me in this way. That brought the wall down. They've now connected at such a deep level. They are best friends. He shares everything with him. He does not stop sending me thank you cards, holiday gifts for his relationship with his son. Okay? So this goes way beyond just making money. This goes around making trust with people and building it from the beginning. But what word did you hear I've been using along the way? It's a very potent, trust-based word. Would you be what? What word does that replace in sales? Would you be? Interested. What we have to offer. Would you like to what? Explore. All these sales terms is what causes the problems. But why is would you be open such a boundaryless kind of phrase? It doesn't put pressure. Why is that? It doesn't force someone into a yes or a no, does it? In fact, I'm going to ask you right now to take an oath with me to remove another word from your vocabulary as of today, that you never use this again. And that's going to shock a few in the room. I can already see in your faces. It's this one. The word follow up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How many of you used the word follow up in the last week on email or phone call? No, nobody probably, right? Just calling it what? Touch base. I love that one too. Who else uses that? Sales. Touch base. Follow up. When you call and say, I'm just calling touch base, what do they think of themselves? Back of their mind. I'm just calling follow up to do what? To get you across the line. To check on you, make sure you're moving forward.
No, check on that you're okay.
I'm fine, I'm healthy, I'm okay, I got it together. This is good. This is good. She's working hard to replace the word. I like this. So the question is, what can we do to replace, I know you're going, oh my God, I used it yesterday in the corporation. I said, well, it's kind of follow. What can we use? What phrase can we use to replace the word follow-up so we don't create momentum towards a sale? Any guesses? So it's interesting how hard it is for you to come up with a phrase that is neutral and won't create pressure on people to get the same response. And that is because you still have layers inside you of what you believe you can tell people. Because you have what I call sales armor on. You know what armor is? That means you're very careful what you say to make yourself vulnerable. Because you believe, or you've been conditioned to believe, you have to have all the answers, be perfect to make the sale. That's a heavy burden to carry every day at work. Trust me. Let me share with you the word now. Rather than saying, I'm just calling to follow up, what you can say instead is, I'm just calling to see if you have any feedback from our previous conversation, from our previous meeting, from our previous whatever. What direction is feedback going? Is it going forward? Where's it going? Back. So it's completely opposite of what we're trying to do in sales, which is go for the sale. I'm going back. Let me tell you, when you own this concept and you deliver this right, you watch what will happen. They'll start opening up to you like there's no tomorrow. You'll be like, oh my God, he just started talking. You'll be shocked. You go, this guy Ari was right. I just changed one phrase. Quick story around this. Number 3, by the way, real quick, is being a problem solver, okay? How to solve a problem. I'm going to mention this real quick. This idea is where you get ready your sales pitch. How many in the room go to like those meetings and like network meetings in the mornings, like where you meet people? You get like 3 minutes and they say to you what? Your time's now, you got to go and give your best what? And there you go. Back again, making that pitch. We have a way to convert your sales pitch into what we call a problem statement. Phrases designed to solve the problem help people solve problems you solve. So when they hear the problems that they have, they connect with you. That creates the trust. And here's a story for you around this. A few years back, I went back to the US for a big opportunity for a big high-tech computer company. They sold laptops and hardware. And the room looked like this. Older guys in the room, 30 years in sales. And I was hired for a half day to come back and help these guys kind of change their way of thinking. I did my half morning talk. It was about lunchtime. And I felt in the corner of the room about a pack of guys going like this. What are they saying? What are they thinking to themselves? What are they saying to me? They're saying, this is bullshit. I've been in sales for 30 years. I don't believe a word he's saying. You see the guy, gray hair. I mean, you know, they've been around a long time. Who does this guy think he is? Whenever I do a live engagement like that, there's always someone in the room who's like that. Every single time. And so basically, I'm prepared for this. So I had a table in front of me like a black skirt. I lifted the skirt off the table, and I pulled a phone from under the table on top of the table. And I said, before you go to lunch today, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to make live sales calls in the room to your toughest prospects to prove to you that this is real. Shock across the entire room. I mean, there was like, they went white. I mean, literally like ghosts, like there were ghosts in the entire room. There was so much tension at that moment that you could like cut it with a knife. And I said, don't worry. You're not going to call your toughest prospects live now in the room. I am. I'm going to call your toughest prospects that you believe you can't get a hold of or get through to in the room right now to prove to you and demonstrate to you that this is the future of selling. Shock across the room again. They could not believe this is possible. What were they afraid of? What were they afraid would happen to me in front of them? Get rejected, right? They're used to it. For them, that is normal. For our world, we never trigger it. You understand? So finally, this guy like runs down with a big folder, like heavy set guy, you know, ties kind of this way and gray hair, and kind of stumbles a bit, kind of come down, and he says, "Look, I got one for you." I said, "Come on down, bring it on down." He says to me, I'll never forget. He goes, "I'm a win-back rep." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "My job is to win back the lost accounts we lost over the years. I've got 10 clients, all I've got. They're each worth $1 million and above. There's one client of ours we lost last year. We shipped them laptops for an important meeting, and the whole box came destroyed. Like every screen was broken. It was all in pieces. They were so upset with us, they ended our contract with us. We lost $1 million a year in revenue because of that. And my job was to get back in the door, get the decision maker, and get this thing going again. It's been 6 months. I cannot get anywhere because I got blocked by the what? The gatekeeper. I try to go through her, around her, every trick in the book. I can't get anywhere. So here you go, Ari. You call. I said, well, hey, thanks for an easy one. You know, now look, the room's still in a what? State of shock. They cannot believe I'll do this in front of them and get destroyed. They just don't want this to happen. So I said, no problem. Let me have your business card. I've got a business card in front of me. Gives me the number of the office, right, gatekeeper. And then the phone is pre-wired into the entire room. So I hit the dial button, and I'm like, shh. The dial tone came up in the entire room. They're like, they can't believe this is happening. I dial the number in front of them of this contact. It goes through, phone rings, and the lady picks it up, the gatekeeper. She says, hello, this is Julie. And I said this. I said, hi, Julie. My name's Ari. I'm with XYZ company, and I'm hoping you can help me out for a moment. That's all I said. Now, what do you suppose, how would most human beings react to that? What do you suppose she said? Of course, she said, how can I help you? We now have what we call a two-way dialogue at hello. For those of you who do outbound calling, this is like gold I'm giving you right now, okay? So that's how you create two-way dialogue at hello. So then I said to her, I said this, I'm just calling on behalf of myself and my company for only one reason, and that is to apologize. Apologize for what happened last year when we shipped you the shipment. It came destroyed, and everything from there turned bad for everybody. I was just calling to apologize for that. That's all I said. And there was silence. Then what do you think came next? She says, well, let me tell you, I was there. She starts talking and talking. I opened the boxes. I couldn't believe it. She says, I signed the agreement. The room's like, what? The entire room's shocked. Like, she signed the agreement. They had no idea. She said, let me, I was there. She starts talking, and I'm like, put her on mute. I'm like, back to mute. Talking, and it's like she spent the entire year was waiting to tell someone what? The truth. And she starts talking, like you just hear the passion of what happened, and like she's letting it out like steam, you know? And after about 8 minutes, she finally kind of comes to a conclusion, says, yeah, it kind of ends the story and kind of calms down. And I'm just sitting here, I'm just listening. I'm not selling. She calms down and finally relaxes. And then I said to her again, I apologize for what happened. Then I said, would you be what? Would you be open to the possibility of considering us to reopen a conversation again, to heal the old wounds, see if we can begin again in a fresh start, given that we want to work together, hopefully in the long term? Would you be what? Open to that. What do you suppose she says to me? She says, sure, I have the diary of my boss in front of me. What's a good time for you? I said, thank you. It'll be myself or my colleague, because I'm not going to be there. One of us will be, I'm flying back home. One of us will be there on the call. She said, sounds good. I'll write some names down. We schedule the time, and I say, thank you. I'm about to hang up the phone. As I was about to hit the off button, I hear her say what to me? What did she say to me at the end? She thanks me. She thanks me for calling. I hung up the phone. The entire room was just like, you know, doing that, but like high five, like the wave, you know, like on the shoulders, you know, like the football thing. Like they can't believe like God just descended down in their office and like they can see a whole new world for the first time. What just happened there that allowed me to do this without fear of rejection? What did you learn today from me? Well, you displayed that there. One, I was focused on what? The truth, not the say. What else do you see I did there? What language did I use? What did I say? Huh? Empathy? Authentically connected with her? What else? I listened. What a concept. Anything else?
You respect the person who answered the phone. You don't have to wait
Yeah, I actually respected the person. Is that a kind of an odd thing in sales and business? Like, to me, that should be normal. We lose all that when we get to work, don't we? You know what this is? This allows you to humanize your life again around business. Make that trust again, to get that armor off. And in itself, triples your opportunity because they can tell right away you're not somebody who's there just to do what? To make the sale. You're there for someone who actually wants to listen. And that in itself is a game changer. So the question to ask yourself is, where in your sales process right now are you losing the most opportunities? Where in these circles? Where between your current process are you losing it? Where is your money stuck right now? As we go around the circles here. That's where we got to start thinking about where the opportunity is. I'll tell you a little thing about Toby. I said to myself, what happens one day if he goes into sales? How would he be? How would he be? He'd be transparent. How else would he be? He'd be honest, trustworthy. He'd probably kick all over our butts, you know? Like, he is how we need to be. And this Unlock the Game system is about becoming more like him. So we can become who we were a long time ago. We lost along the way playing the sales game and getting our butts kicked and losing opportunity. That's why it's transformational. And my vision is to take Toby's way of the world and basically get it out to the world and change the world for trust. That is my vision. That's why I'm here today, is to kind of help spread that message, because if I can ripple it around your worlds, it can spread about. We can change the world in many ways. Because I think what's changed now is that we're in a world of much more conflict than ever before, aren't we? Governments, politics, wars, families, business. In fact, customers have the least amount of belief that ever in business. They lose faith in us. And in many cases, the gap between what your agenda is and their agenda is what? Is widened. So I looked for some model of how to get this word out, and one of the models I discovered was Gandhi, and his quote is this: be the change you wish to see in the world. Change your world around you, and things start to happen. So my goal is that we can put trust back in the sales business world if we make those changes, and we can do it together. So if what I said to you resonates with you at a deep level, and you specifically in this room are a consultant or a coach or an advisor or a trainer, I have an avenue to help you take this to your clients and help make the impact in their worlds, let your sales go up and impact them. And it's called my Trust-Based Mentor Program. And for the last 10 years, I've been the only one delivering this. I've been on airplanes, I've gone to corporates, small businesses, and I realized I on my own cannot get the word out. It's just not possible. So I decided this end of the last year to develop a licensing program where I certify and train coaches, consultants, and advisors to be black belts and Unlock the Game, to go out and deliver this to their worlds. Okay? And then we had our first group that started last week, 5 from Sydney, 1 from India, a guy flew in from India, to begin the process to actually own the concept. So if anyone in this room resonates with that concept, what I'll do is I'm going to kind of walk you through, for those in the room who are interested in this, if some of you may not, that's okay too, and we'll get to the question in a second, what that process is like, okay? Typically at the end of a sales talk, what do you usually expect to happen? Right? A sales pitch, right? But our world, that does not come into my mind at all. My job is to see what together, for a what. So we have an application process. People have to apply to basically see for a fit together. So if that resonates with you, if you're one of those kind of people, then we'd ask you somebody to pass your business card at some point along forward before I leave. And when that happens, we send you an application on email. You fill the application out, you send it back to us, and if we review the application and you're not a fit with us, what do? We refund you. We ask for a $100 deposit. I know it's a lot, but we ask for a deposit for a reason. Why do we ask for that? To get involved with us. Because those who aren't serious just can't afford $100. If you can't afford $100, it's not a good fit. From the interview, if you're accepted, we interview you. Then you talk with me. Next level interviews. If you're a fit, great. If not, what happens? We ask you it's not a fit, we refund you again. We have one more call with you, They go over everything, make sure you're comfortable. If it's not a fit, $100 back. If it's a fit, then you're in the program. I'm taking 20 mentors this quarter into our new intake. We have, I think, 3 so far. We start in a couple months to begin the next group of certified what we call trust-based mentors. If you have an interest in this at all, let me know before I leave. Pass your business cards forward. If not, I want to thank you so much for today. Hopefully I gave you enough to go leave today, use this today. Yeah? And I'll be around for any questions you might have with Steve. Thank you so much.
Everybody stand up on your feet. Let's give Ari Galper a big round of applause.
Thank you.
It's an amazing concept.
Thank you.
Beautiful, mate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ari.
Sure.
So we're going to open up to you guys now to get your thoughts. What did you think? Does it change the way you think about selling, or has it just reinforced even more what you already knew, but perhaps you weren't doing it as well as what you should have? So, guys, let me know your thoughts. Any questions? Was it valuable, first of all? Yes, absolutely. And I can talk from my experience.
Sure.
But we've actually members of a similar group, and we've got friends up in Queensland. Their names are Trish and Randall. If we can talk about Trish and Randall, lovely people, 4 beautiful children. And you spent a bit of time with Trish and Randall, didn't you? And what can you sort of talk us through that process?
Well, what happened was they had us come in and work with their sales team. And what happened was it became so transformational, it spread across the whole company. The marketing department got involved, customer service, collections. They ended up using our language across all their communication. How to call back clients, even their marketing, their website, all the words in which they use crossed all communication. In fact, they even use it now internally between employees. Like, would you be open to sharing what your goals are this year? It's amazing how it spread.
In their relationship.
And in their relationship at home. And don't try this at home without being trained. And they have posters on their walls of all the languaging that we got on their company. So big changes there. And their sales were up 3 or 4 times this year.
Yeah.
They told you this, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great to hear. It was great to hear it from them, to talk about how it transformed their business, which is a multi-million-dollar business, mind you. And it was all about language. And it was quite funny, actually, when I talk about their relationship, because Trish and Randall, as individuals, are just very powerful people, I think, as well, very smart. And Randall's an ex-police officer. And so when Trish, who's an ex-lawyer, I think, says to Randall, would you be open to having an honest conversation? But this is more surrounding their relationship than what it is work. It's quite interesting. Randall sort of kicks his feet and gets cranky with it. But they're going to get to the truth, which is most important. So, guys, any questions after all that? Yeah, Nikki.
My question is, I've done the follow-up email and didn't get a response. Should I, how then to go about the follow-up
All right, so,
for those people who don't hear it?
How many else in the room have people stuck now right now where you followed up and they're calling you back? Anybody else have that? Okay. I'm going to give you something right now that is so powerful and so valuable that this will unearth those people who are a fit or not a fit. Are you ready for this? All right. So, first of all, let me ask you a question. What choices do you have right now? What can you do? What can she do? Cut them loose or keep what? Chasing it. Right, it's the two extremes, right? So, here's what I'm talking about doing. You have to fall on your sword right now and say to yourself, maybe somewhere along the way, you did something to cause them not to call you back. It's a big step to look at yourself and say, well, what could I have done to cause that? So you'd call them back or email, whatever you want to do to get a hold of them. You'd say this. You'd say, what's the first name of this person you're thinking about? Marissa. Hi, Marissa. I'm just giving you a call back. Here's the key. Not to move things forward. Write this down. Step number 1. You can try this. I'm telling you, it's going to blow you away. On email or phone, I'm giving you a ring, not to call to move things forward. We'll stop for a second. What is going through their mind right now?
What do you want them?
Well, what happens is they go like this. What a relief. Then you'd say, I'm just giving you a ring for only one reason, and that is to what? Apologize. Hold on, hang in there. It's a big, I know. I'm calling to apologize because I haven't heard back from you, and I assume maybe it's something I did along the way. Maybe I didn't answer all your questions. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you weren't comfortable with something, but for some reason, I wasn't able to convey that with you. First of all, could this be true? Oh, it can't be true. There's no way you can make a mistake. There's no way.
It is possible.
Sorry to interject.
It's okay.
If I received that phone call,
Yep.
I'd say, no, he's lying. He's not really sorry at all.
Oh, hold on a second. This is very good. I'm so glad you said this because if you use this as a script and it's not what? His reaction. But when you are authentic on this and this is real and you own this and maybe it is you and you convey this calmly and slowly with true authenticity and you say, I'm only calling for some feedback to find out how I can improve for next time around, what do you suppose will happen? If done with total authenticity, yes.
I've seen this before where then the person goes out of their way to apologize themselves and say, sorry, I was busy, I was this and that.
What happens is this brings out the truth. The only thing left, what they say to you is, well, no, it's not your fault. It's X or this. The question is here is you don't know why they're calling you back, right? Do you? We don't know. It's a huge mystery. So your goal right now is to get to the truth. It's the only way. Otherwise, you're just stuck chasing this ghost you can't get a hold of. But to own this, you have to truly fall on your sword and say to yourself in your mind, maybe it's me. And if you're authentic and honest and they listen to you, they will connect with you and open up to you. If you can't get them on the phone, you can send this on email, if written right. Voicemail as well. But I'm sure half of the people you're chasing right now, if you do this the right way, respond back with you with the truth. And you might find those people who have had one more question, or it's their fault, or you don't know. They might be traveling. You have no idea. So this is advanced level stuff I'm giving you. This is like black belt level I just gave you right now. You got to own the concept first before you do this, because you're right. If it's not authentic and it's a trick, whatever, it's not real.
Yeah, and I can talk from experience. We actually implemented this into our company when we chased the bigger clients. We weren't getting calls back, and there was a level of frustration around that. What are we not doing well? But when we started to just find the truth, the reasons they weren't getting back to us had nothing to do with us. They'd just gone somewhere else on some occasions. But because they'd gone somewhere else, they weren't willing to share that with us, and they weren't returning the phone calls of the sales guys. But when we took a softer approach and just apologised and said, is it something we did or didn't we answer something correctly? Oh, no, not at all. We just went with X, Y, Z because we've had an existing relationship with them or for some other reason. But it took a lot of that frustration off the table because we weren't there guessing. So me as a director of the company, I'm looking down at the sales teams and I'm going, guys, we want results. What happened with this client, with this client, with this? We don't know. They won't return our phone calls. They were the old conversations. The new conversations, we actually have the truth. And it is just so valuable because we can't fix what we don't know.
Exactly.
So if there is a flaw in our sales process, we get to that answer a lot quicker. Or if it's just someone else, we actually get some layers as to who our competition is and why they're going somewhere else. It works. It's very simple.
It's deep. This is a deep concept. You have to kind of own this before you deliver this. Otherwise, it's not authentic. Make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
Any other questions, guys? Anybody think that they can implement some of this stuff into their business? Yes, Daniel. Yeah.
Because it's a whole trust thing. You've got to create. Sales is different now to what you were saying before. Back in and someone said Harvey Norman, you've got to create a relationship because everyone's doing the same things. And as I said, you've got to put yourself in their position. When someone gives you the hard sell and you get the phone at home, what's the first thing you do? Hang it up. So you've got to put yourself in their position, their house. And if you're genuine, people will see you're genuine. And if you're not, They'll see it straight away.
Yeah, it's really got to come from your heart.
Yeah.
That's the
If it
truth.
doesn't, you get the reaction like
And be
that.
honest
Like,
with people too. Like, especially in my job, like, I mean, I work in real estate, so we're like car salesmen, and you see people, it's funny, but you see people say, I love helping people move. Well, go and get a job with a removalist company. Like, be honest why you do something. Be honest why you do something, and don't sugarcoat it and bullshit people, because they see right through it.
People are so, and it's a good thing. The consumers, whether it's a service-based industry you have or a product-based industry, we deal with some really, all the consumers are educated now. We've evolved them to another level just through technology or just through whatever. I don't know. Maybe I can't put my finger on it, but you can't be clever. It's flawed. Just be honest. It's gold. It really is gold. And like I said, this took our business to another level as far as just implementing the key little words of vocabulary that Ari uses. Yeah. Awesome. So anybody else before we wind it up? Yes.
I'd like to add a comment on the helping the client to cross the line. Often in my situation, if I help a customer, I put together a proposal. They want to go ahead, but they might need to convince somebody else. So I try to find out what is the situation. They might say that I need to go through the board to make decision. But sometimes that person might have situation where they can't explain as well as I do to the benefits. So I say, when's your next board meeting? I come in, if you give me 5 minutes, I'll be there just to answer any questions your board might have. So often that is the case as well. Or could be they say, well, I'd really love to go ahead, but I don't have the budget. So you might have to rearrange the finance, different payment, or even help them to raise some money. So
At least you can do something. Yeah.
Unless you know what it is that they struggle with. So sometimes they want to go ahead, they just need a bit of help.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Always.
Wonderful. And just before we do wind up, this is, as much as it is a sales based thing, you can actually implement this into your company. So just those key words that you're talking to, if you want to have an honest conversation in your business, instead of that throwing the, that punch or that force coming at it, which mostly you are going to be met with force, is do you want to have an honest conversation, or are you open to having an honest conversation? You might have someone, your staff member or a fellow colleague that you need to sit down and have a real honest conversation with, and getting how you deliver that first message actually dictates how that whole conversation goes. If you come in with, we got to sit down and have a chat, guard goes up. But would you be open to having an honest conversation? It's different. Sets the tone. Yeah. Guys, Ari Galper, if you can all put your hands together, thank you very much. So we're now going to get ready for, we're going to go and have afternoon tea, I should say. And then we're going to come back and finish up with Jen Xavier this afternoon. So thanks very much, guys. Have a great afternoon tea.